Well, good morning. It's great to greet you this morning. It's a wonderful opportunity to speak with you. And our text today is coming from the second chapter of 2 Timothy. We're finishing out the chapter, verses 20 through 26. You know, we have, Gail and I have come through several stages in our lives together. Having teenagers in the house was probably the most interesting. I imagine there are several of you who would agree with me. I miss those days, but not enough to repeat them. Uh, I'm sure our children have said the same to their friends in regards to living in a parsonage with us. But with the teenagers in the house, holidays were always fun. Of course, there was Thanksgiving and there was Christmas. Those were always fun. Easter was also special, but all of these holidays were associated with religious meaning, at least to some degree, such as Thanksgiving. The one that really got interesting around the Methodist parsonage that we lived in was Halloween. I still look back with amazement at the acceptance that that church gave to the crazy things that took place at the preacher's house. In retrospect, I suppose I should have been a little stricter in providing guidance to the children at that time. However, I must admit, watching their creativity at work was particularly fun for their parents. As the years passed, I don't know if the trick-or-treaters came by for the candy or to see what new wrinkle the kids had prepared for them. Most of what they did was built around fictitious characters of Halloween. It was all done in good fun, and no harm was intended, of course, even if Lucifer himself might show up, and maybe even an occupied casket on a particular year. In reality, however, the devil is not fiction. Evil is not a joke, and life is not a game. Paul writes to Timothy in today's text and reminds him of what every believer needs to know. Previously, he had told Timothy to guard his faith and to focus on the things of God. He told him if he did this, he will present himself to God as one who is approved by God. As that becomes a reality, all who follow Christ will become useful in the kingdom, much like gold and silver utensils in a large house with which the owner can do good works. For every person who is faithful to God in this way, God will use them as vessels through whom those to whom they minister may escape from the snare of the devil, having been held captive by him to do his will. The words of Paul. Well, many years ago, I was sitting in my office preparing for the upcoming Sunday, and one of my leaders came by. He sat down and said, "Francis, do you think the devil can be in the church?" I was taken aback by his question, but as soon as I was able to gather myself, I said to him, "Well, you tell me. If you were the devil, where would you be spending your time? Out in the world with the people you already have, or in the church trying to derail the people that you want?" Paul's words reminded me of that exchange. Sometimes I think we might treat the devil more like a cartoon character than the sly adversary in the book of Job who goes to and fro seeking whom he may devour. The devil is not fiction. Evil is not a joke. And life is not a game. This is serious business upon which all eternity hangs. In the words of Paul, all who cleanse themselves will become special utensils. Well, how will you know when you're special, you might ask? Well, how are you doing at growing in your faith? Consider these questions. As you look at your spiritual health, are you more like a gold utensil, or one made of clay? Question 2. Paul describes the Lord's servant as one who is not quarrelsome. Does that describe you? Why or why not? Question 3. If you had the opportunity to say one thing about what your faith means to you to an unbeliever, what would it be? Well, as you step out into the world of this new normal, being the church in changing times, I pray God's blessings upon you. And I pray that He will use you as a blessing to touch the lives of those whom you meet. Go in peace.